Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Retro Pop Planet, and welcome Fallout fans if you arrived here via the weird YouTube algorithm, because that's how I found the subject of today's video. After the release of Fallout on Amazon, well, I said I wasn't gonna binge it, and I ended up binging the entire series. I went back and I started replaying Fallout 4, which was a game I finished a long time ago. But I was always looking into mods for Sanctuary. I started getting targeted YouTube videos that I might like about the Lustron homes, which, come to find out, the homes of the future in Fallout were actually based on. They were based off of real life prefab housing that existed in the late 1940s, very early 1950s. So I've long been a fan of prefab, mid-century modern homes. In fact, I have quite a few books on them, and I've just always been really just intrigued about the building and the design concept of that time period, and the architecture style is, in my mind, unmatched. But first, here's a little history about the Lustron homes themselves.
According to Wikipedia, the Lustron Corporation was formed in 1947 on a $12.5 million government loan to manufacture mass-produced prefab homes with enameled steel panels. The program was helmed by a Chicago-based industrialist and inventor named Carl Strandland. The goal was to construct 45,000 of these homes by 1948 to help satisfy the housing shortage after World War II. The fabrication plant was in Columbus, Ohio, the former Curtiss Wright factory, which was the nation's largest aviation firm. Even the delivery trucks were designed to haul the over 3,000 pieces needed to complete the home. The interiors were also constructed from steel and designed toward the modern age. All rooms featured pocket doors, metal cabinets, and built-in wall units. Customers were also presented with Thor Automagic washer dryers. The housing kits were originally marketed to sell for $8,000 to $9,000, but the end cost would prove to be much higher. Marketed as a build-it-yourself kit, in reality, most of the homes were constructed by professional builders in partnership with Lustron. The company declared bankruptcy in 1950, having only built about 2,000 homes. Around 1,500 of these homes are still in existence across 36 states and in Venezuela.
After doing some independent research, I wanted to know, were there any in my area? Because we had a large concentration of military. In fact, the Pentagon from where I am right now is only about 2 or 3 miles away. And we are in Columbia Forest, which is in Arlington, Virginia. And there was a very large concentration of homes here, but they're all gone now. And the last one that was standing, I believe, was torn down in 2007 and then became famous in its own right.
In 2005, Lustron house owner Clifford M. Crown offered to donate his nearly mint condition house to Arlington County if it could be moved off property, either whole or in parts, and put to a new use. With the exception of the kitchen appliances and toilet, this Lustron house retained its original interior and exterior features. The house was completely disassembled using backward construction, meaning the crew went from the back of the manual to the front, disassembling the house inside and out. It was then rebuilt and placed on display at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, before then traveling back to Columbus, Ohio, where it was placed on display inside the Ohio Historical Society.
So with that history behind us, I wanted to go down here to see where it was standing, and you can see that the home now is in its place is very reminiscent of Arlington as a whole. It's a pretty diverse mix of old homes and new homes. As you can see, this neighborhood is full of cool old 40s and 50s homes. So if I remember reading correctly, I believe there were about 60 of those Lustron homes built up in this community. And I feel like I'm going door to door like a Vault Tech salesman. So I don't know, maybe I should put on some glasses or something, or a hat and a tie. But yeah, so this is basically kind of like the model for the video game. I know that some of the developers grew up in this area. Of course, Bethesda is actually just over the border from where we are in Maryland. So I see the house right now, and it definitely is not an old house. So let's go over there right now. So that was it right here. It was a corner lot. I believe it's 5201 12th Street South, and the cross street is Frederick, and it's kind of a busy road here. But this is where that home sat that was on display in Columbus, Ohio. As I mentioned, the Lustron home was not the only type of kit house that was built in the US. This goes back at least a century or more. Different catalogs, I think Farmer's Almanac at one point in the late 1800s also advertised kit housing. I do know of one local house. I didn't realize it was a kit built house, and let's go there now. And I should probably do a video based on this community alone because it is historically significant. Charles Goodman was one of the original architects, the original planners of this entire community. Now you're probably saying to yourself, this is not a prefab community. These homes were built to spec to the actual land that they were on. That's true. However, there is one prefab home in this community.
If these homes remind you of Mad Men, that's because Mad Men's production designer Dan Bishop and Sex and the City designer Jeremy Conway both grew up in Holland Hills.
Now this beautiful old home behind me is a Charles Goodman constructed Alcoa Carefree home. This is a prefab home. The project was actually too expensive. The delivery costs were expensive, and I believe the initial production cost was like $30,000, and they actually were over budget by another $30,000. I think this house cost $60,000 to build. This home was purchased several years ago, underwent massive renovation. There are several different YouTube videos online. The official photographer of this house is actually a friend of mine. This home has been featured in numerous magazines, and I believe it's going to be featured in Atomic Ranch magazine. And this friend of mine, who is a real estate photographer, she actually took all the photos of this house. But this was a prefab kit house, not quite a sanctuary house. We're still on the search for one of those, but I thought it would be fun to show you. So as much as I love the idea of a prefab kit built house, I do recognize that there were some very unique challenges. Namely, if something broke down in your house, it was going to be really hard to replace it. And that's why a lot of these Lustron homes do not maintain their original integrity, especially being enameled steel. Steel eventually rusts, and I don't know, it's a fun idea. The other thing that obviously is a big constraint is the land. You have to own the land first, then you have to get county approval, city approval, maybe even state approval to hook up your plumbing and your electrical to get on the grid. That is incredibly expensive. In this area alone, the land is where most of your money is going to be sunk. The other reality is you had to either have a contractor, which Lustron would have provided with an additional fee. You would have also had to pay the exorbitant delivery costs from Ohio, and Ohio to Virginia on one of those custom made trucks. Lord knows how much that cost. But still, they were not rich people. They were middle class, but that didn't equal rich. Folks, probably already had kids, or they were starting families, and they would, those kids would become the baby boomer generation, and those families would have multiple kids, and the Lustron homes were just really too small for those growing families. I did read one article where somebody that grew up in a Lustron home said it was akin to living in an aluminum filing cabinet. That sounds horrible.
Also, according to Wikipedia, and since confirmed through Washington Post articles, the largest assembly of Lustrons in one geographic location was in Quantico, Virginia. where 60 were installed at the U.S. Marine Corps base. All Westchester Deluxe models, they came in all 4 colors. In January 2006, it was announced that the homes would be eliminated from base housing and would be given away. 58 of Quantico's Lustrons were offered for free with an application and $8,000 deposit. Yet only one individual came forward and acquired a home, which was disassembled and moved to storage in Delaware. 23 of Quantico's Lustrons were demolished in 2006, and an additional 34 homes were raised in 2007. The 2 remaining homes at the base are on the National Register of Historic Places and are currently used as maintenance buildings. It's been many years since I've been to Quantico, but I have a friend who's also into Fallout that is former military. Maybe we'll plan a future visit.
You guys, I found one, and it's just over the border in Maryland, and it's right behind me. And it's also the largest surviving version of these Lustron homes. Let's go check it out. It looks like it was built up in the back. This would have been the original part, and I guess they built a basement because this is a concrete foundation. The home itself is all stainless steel. The roofing tile still looks original. So I just got some awesome info from the neighbor who was cutting his grass, and he said that people come up here all the time. Apparently that's a rental right now. The owner that purchased it several years ago bought it as a rental. There are Zillow listings, which I knew about. A lot of the stuff has been changed on the inside. A lot of the stuff, apparently moisture, at least in this area of the country, gets behind those metal walls and turns into black mold. So a lot of the original stuff, if it hadn't rusted, had to be ripped out. You can see it's a little bit different than the sanctuary houses in the game, but we are in Maryland. This is not too far from Bethesda, of course, where Bethesda Softworks came from. He clued me in. There's actually one more Lustron house at the bottom of this hill, which I did not know about. So let's go check it out now. Wow, I found it, and it's the yellow version, which I don't know if there were that many of them. There were a couple different alterations of colors that you could choose from. Let's go check this one out. It also looks like that distinct metal accent feature that was unique to these homes was replaced with a more modern post. Looks like it was wood, just a regular wood beam. That would have been one of those. Can't tell if this house has been repainted, but that's troublesome right there. See that's a bubble forming. There's probably either moisture or rust going on underneath that. That's amazing. We just, in a matter of 2 blocks, we just saw the largest that's still standing and probably one of the smallest. This looks like the 1-bedroom model. I don't know a lot about the different model types, but this one is very small. So it is time for me to say goodbye. I really thank you for joining me on this little adventure to discover the real life sanctuary community. Now, there are pockets of these all over the United States, so I implore you to do a little bit of research on your own, and maybe there is a community near you. If you are a Lustron fan, if you're an architecture fan, if you are a Fallout fan, I do thank you for joining me. If you like this video, please leave me a like. If you grew up in one of these houses, I really want to know. Let me know what your experiences were like, where you were located, if the house is still standing. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.